It is Sunday, 2:40 p.m., and I am headed home from hanging out with my friend Steve and going to the range. The reason I haven't made another archery vlog is because I haven't really learned anything new. I'm still struggling with all the old things and not really coming to terms with an answer to some of the problems that I have. Basically, it seems like I'm still firing the arrows and they're not going where I'm looking. So, until I can come up with a way to bypass that, or at least discover something that's really going to help me resolve that, I don't think there's going to be another vlog for a while, at least in terms of the archery part. But, it is Sunday. It is the last of the 4-day weekend for me. I had off Thursday and Friday, thanks to my boss, who was kind enough to give me those days off. I had a meeting with him on Monday of last week to discuss with him my state of being. As I had said in that other video where I was talking about how I felt incompetent and worthless, I went to him and I explained to him that I was concerned that my performance was lacking, that I was not performing up to spec. And he was very kind. My boss is a very good guy, very, very concerned, very solid employer. I don't think I've ever had another employer as good as John. He's definitely a caring, concerned guy. He's been in the industry long enough to know that there are certain facts about what we do, and he puts that into practice every day. But because of the conversation I had with him on Monday, he had suggested, well, why don't you take Thursday and Friday off and just have a 4-day weekend and recoup. And I did. Yesterday, which was Saturday, I had received in the mail the bow that I had been talking about. I don't know if you guys remember, but there was me talking about the different types of bows that I've seen, and the last one that I was using was my Martin Jaguar, but it wasn't the bow that I wanted. I wanted to get a Hoyt Buffalo. Well, I got my bonus for my yearly bonus for work, and took that money and bought myself the Hoyt. So now I have the Hoyt Buffalo, and it's definitely different than the Jaguar in terms of design, and it's a 35-pounder instead of a 40-pounder, so the pull is a little bit lighter for me. Plus the rest is actually the arrow shelf rather than an actual rest mechanism that I used for the arrows. So that's kind of interesting too. But even with that, I'm still not firing any better than I was before. So the next step is going to be to get a tab instead of using my fingers, my finger glove. For those of you that don't know, there are several mechanisms that you can use when firing a bow, depending on the type of bow that you have. They have a release mechanism for people that are firing a compound bow, which is basically this little mechanical pincher that grabs a loop that's put into the string of the bow, so that when you draw, there's a trigger on it, so you use that to release the string rather than using your hand. And for those of you that use fingers, there's the glove, which is that thing you've seen me before. It's the 3 leather cuffs that go over these 3 fingers that you use to pull the string. And they have what's called a tab, which is this piece of leather that fits over there's a loop that fits over your middle finger, and when you grab the string, the piece of leather goes over your fingers and between your fingers and the string. So Steve uses a tab, or he started using a tab, and he likes it. And I tried it today, and it was definitely different than using the glove, so I'm going to try that and see if that helps me improve my archery performance. But getting off of that, so yeah, I got the Hoyt that I wanted, which is kind of cool. So now I don't need to worry about getting another bow. I can always just upgrade the limbs on this one for a stronger poundage if I need to. On Wednesday, I had my yearly review for my job, and as expected, it was not very good. You know, I didn't score very well in several aspects of my review, all of which were legitimate. I'm not going to dispute any of them because I could see how the points were made. And John was very, very nice about it. You know, he knew that the stuff that he had to say, and it was a little bit more critical than he was comfortable with. But I told him, I said, just be straight up with me, John. I understand that you're going to be legitimate with your review, and I don't think that there's going to be anything that you're going to say to me in that review that I don't think is valid. So, overall, it was a good review. you know, the review was not stellar. There were certain things that had come up in the review that I was a little shocked by. Not because of the fact that they weren't legitimate, but because of something that had occurred that I made a mistake, basically what it comes down to, and I didn't realize I made this mistake until they brought it to my attention. And it's the kind of mistake where, you know, it's just, you're caught completely off guard because you couldn't imagine how you could have made that kind of mistake, and that's exactly what happened with me. I got screenshotted on something that I did not realize that I had done. Let me just put it that way. And I got called on it. And so, of course, I immediately said, well, you know, it's true 100%. I won't deny that. I have reasons for why I did what I did, but I'm just surprised I got, you know, that this was something that I was so sloppy that I let this kind of a situation happen. But at the end of the interview, you know, John was very nice, and I thanked him very, very much for all the kindness that he's shown me and the efforts that he's made to try to make my life easier and make me a better person. And what I mean by that is he's been very supportive of the idea of me seeking therapy. So he's been very supportive in that way. So that's what I mean when I say he's been making me a better person or helping make me a better person. But he did say at the end of the interview, or not the interview, excuse me, the review, you know, that as long as he worked there, I had a job there. He felt that I still did a good job, and you know, even though I had these some of the weak points that he had brought up, actually, he admitted, he said, look, you know, when I had written this review, it was a couple of weeks ago, and some of these things have changed for the better, so this is just, this is a review based on the status of things as of a couple of weeks ago. And I said, I understand that, that's no big deal. So, yeah, wasn't the best review in the world, you know, but that's okay, because I still have my job. How am I feeling about my job? Well, I've been off for the last 4 days, where I didn't have to think about it. So I'm hoping that on Tuesday or Wednesday, when the the weekend blur goes by, because Monday always tends to be a very funky day after a weekend, because I'm now starting to get back into having to work. So I'm in sort of a daze for the entire day, which is fine. But Tuesday or Wednesday is when it wears off, so I'm hoping by that time that I'll be in a good state of mind. I've gotten my medication update, so now one of my medications has been increased, and I'm hoping that'll help, or is helping, because I'd like to think that the reason why I've been off is because the medication's not been helping, you know. So I'm hoping with this new medication increase that it'll do whatever it needs to do inside my head, and then I can just go back to being, you know, stable. That's one of the things about the experience that wasn't exactly the most positive, was being in a situation where the medication actually started to make a difference, and then having that difference evaporate and noticing how miserable I am. You know, my mother said it was a good thing that I'm recognizing. Before, I wasn't aware of how miserable I am, or how miserable I was, and that other people were, and now that I'm becoming aware of the fact that how miserable I was, and you know, in my mind, it's like, I don't want to know how miserable I was. I just want to stop feeling that way. I don't want it to be something that's affecting me and affecting my work. I'd rather just continue to get through the shit and move forward. But in order to be a healthy person, apparently, you have to be able to deal with the emotional results of the effects that you're dealing with. So yeah, that's pretty much all that's going on with me. I'm now sitting in traffic trying to get home. I'm going to stop by, pick up some kitty food. I'm also going to stop by a drugstore. It's like a Walgreens, and see if they've got some electric shavers, so that I can. They have one that I want to get, but the last time I checked it was $300. It's this wet dry shaver, but I was going to use it on my head so I don't have to keep using a hand razor. That would be useful. So we'll see. Maybe they'll have it, maybe I'll get it, and then I'll be able to shave my head easily instead of having to do it by hand. Alright then, well, that's pretty much it. That's what's been going on with me. I hope everybody else is doing well. I'll talk to y'all later.